Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. We're a small but mighty crowd on a icy, little bit snowy day. I'm hoping this is not a predictor of what's to come, right? So I'm Jane Lindeman. I'm the superintendent of the school district, and I will be your host today. We're going to go through quite a bit of registration stuff. We have had, of everybody who has come to these meetings so far, you are the third meeting out of 6. And we've had really great comments. People have found this very, very beneficial. And it doesn't matter whether this is your first 8th grader or whether it's your second or third or fourth 8th grader. We think people have found really great information through this. So we're really happy that you're here, and we appreciate you taking the time to drive here this morning. So we do have a lot of staff with us today, and they are going to be able to answer any questions. The format of this is I'm going to actually go through things for about 30 minutes, and then after that we'll let you ask any of your specific questions to any of the staff members that are here. We just do that because we know that your questions are a lot of times specific, and so we'll just let you talk with staff, but I will power through the information to start with. So with that, let me just kind of go over a little bit of what we're going to learn today. First of all, I just want to show you some pictures and just give you a glimpse, kind of give you a structure of the staff that will be here to support you as we work through the 8th grade transition into 9th grade. So I'll show you some pictures of that. I do know that it feels really weird probably to be here so early on. I mean, it's October, it's Halloween, and we're already thinking about next year. And there is a reason why we start really early. We do that because in order for us to create our master schedules and hire the staff, we really need to be doing that by about February, maybe into March. So in order to do that piece by the spring, we really do need to get a lot of the information from your students and from you earlier than that. So we start right now so that we have November, December, and January to work with students and get the information, and then we can kind of do the tasks that we need to do on our end. So that, I know it seems kind of weird, but there is a method to our madness here. We are going to, the second bullet will probably be the one that will be the most helpful for you. We are going to clearly identify the registration process. You will leave here knowing exactly what steps are going to happen, and you will know exactly when they are going to happen, and you will know when your tasks come in. We're actually going to give you the dates for the things that you need to do and by when. So that's helpful. We are going to talk just briefly about some of the high school opportunities, and I'll share with you more about why we're going over those today, and then learn how you can help your student. Some of you, can I just get a show, how many of you this is your first 8th grade student? Okay, couple, okay, anybody veterans? Yeah, okay, some of you have some. So let's just kind of go in. So let's take a look at some of our staff. So first of all, I want to show you just a picture. I don't expect you to photograph this in your mind, but I do just want to kind of give you a structure of how our buildings are set up with administrators. So to the far left, we have our principals at East High. There are 3 of them. I will point out Mr. Parker is the head principal. We have Mr. Payton and Miss Wright, and I see that Mr. Payton is here today. So raise your hand. We have one of the 3 here, so you can kind of match the face with the picture here. In the middle, we have the West High administrators, and there are 6 of them. And the reason there are more of them is because that building is quite a bit bigger. So I'm just looking here of the picture. We have Mr. Meehee, who is right here. You can't see it very well, but he's here in real life right there. So any questions you might have for West High, he would certainly be somebody who could help you through that. And then over here we have Mr. Shepard and Mr. Whelan, and Mr. Whelan is here in person as well. So next I want to show you pictures of our school counselors. The administrators will be very helpful for you, but probably the counselors are going to be the bigger help for you because they really are in charge of this process. They really facilitate everything. So you can see that at East High we have 4 counselors, and we have Nikki Miller here, and is that it from, okay, you're representing East High. From West, do we have any counselors here from West? We kind of rotate. Okay, Keisha Smith is here. She's right there. And then we have 3 counselors at Expo. And do we have any counselors here? Oh, yes, we do. Of course we do. So Ms. Preem is over here. So they can answer your questions today, but more likely they'll be able to answer your questions as we go past today. Then I am going to show you another slide. I do not expect you to recognize or memorize all of the names on here, but what I do want you to notice, regardless of what building you're in, whether it's East or West or Expo, there are other staff that will help you. So we have head secretaries, we have people in our front office, we have attendance staff, we have counseling service staff, and we have business office staff in our 2 larger buildings. So they can help you as well. Again, we don't expect you to memorize those names, but just please know that there are staff that will help you with any of the questions. Some of these people might be more helpful even as your child gets into high school next year. Probably the counselors and the administrators are going to be the most helpful for right now. So because we only have such a short amount of time, I'm just going to dig right into the meat of this presentation. So here is the registration process, and it's pretty easy to see. There are six steps in how we will start from your child not having a schedule to your child getting a schedule and a plan for their 4th grade year. So there's really those steps. So the very first thing that's going to happen is in probably next week, because tomorrow is November 1st. So right away when we start November, the first couple weeks of November, the middle school counselors are going to meet with your students as a large group. They probably, not all 8th graders at one time, but they go into some of the classes. They might come into a language arts class and talk with your kids, and they will go over some of the same information you are hearing today. But they'll get a lot more information about what students should be thinking about. So they'll start that. At that time, they will give out something called a course catalog. And I do have just a sample of it here today. I will show you what it looks like. The ones that the students get will not be bound. So don't expect I want to make that connection because sometimes people are saying the bound copy, and that's not what your students will get. Theirs will be stapled. This is a really, really extremely well organized document. It has every class that's available at high school, along with a description of the class. And it's organized by theme, so you can see if here are all the English classes, and it even tells you what grade levels can take those classes. This is an amazing document, and I really would ask that you ask your children to bring this home. I'm sure it'll be in their locker. I have 2 kids of my own, so if I want something, I go to the school and find them out of their locker. So you ask your kids to bring this home. But what I do want to, here's a little helpful guide that we gave you. So will you look at the trifold brochure that we gave you today? Everybody got those? Okay. This is really helpful because this is kind of like the Cliff's Notes of this big booklet. So the trifold brochure is really helpful because it has every single class that's offered in our high schools. This is just the name of them. So if you see something on here and you say, gosh, I'm really intrigued by that class, or I wonder if that would interest my child, then you can go into this booklet and read more about what the students would learn, what the class is like. So this is just kind of a quick guide. I would really recommend that you keep this document. There's a couple things we're giving you today that are really going to be helpful for you to keep over the next year, really, as your kids get into high schools. So keep these. One other thing I would point on this, the classes, some of the classes have an asterisk, a little star behind them. Those classes indicate that that's a class that your freshman student would be eligible to take. There are some classes that they can't take until they're a junior or senior. So we've starred the ones that your kids can take. So really hone in on the ones with the asterisks behind them. So keep this document. Okay, so back to the registration schedule. So middle school counselors are going to meet with them. They're going to give them the materials that they need. The next thing that's going to happen is the high school counselors and our career coordinators are going to come with them. They're going to come in and meet for a second dose of information with your students. So they're going to kind of get a double team. We kind of middle school counselor, high school counselor, the career coordinators, because we want to make sure that the kids have lots of time to ask questions, that they get a full array of what the information is. After that happens, after those first 2 doses of information happen, that's when we really start digging into getting that schedule together. Middle school counselors will begin working with your students either individually, one-on-one. They'll bring in a child and they'll say, let's sit down side by side and let me ask you some questions. Let's figure out what your child wants to take. So they will do that. Sometimes they do them in small groups. Sometimes they'll grab 2 or 3 kids. Either way, but it will be very, very individualized so that your students have a conversation with the counselors about what would be helpful for them to take. The one thing, as they're doing that, you can see in red that the goal is to complete their freshman schedule so they know what they want to take, so we can listen to them, we can hear from them. This is what your schedule could and might look like. They will also be working on the 4-year plan. There's a couple reasons why we do a 4-year plan, and a 4-year plan is their outline for what they'll take not only as a freshman, but as a sophomore, as a junior, and as a senior. 2 reasons we do that. First of all, did you know that is legislated? That is from the state of Iowa. They say in Iowa, every child will have a 4-year plan outlined and on file. That's required by law. The second reason we do it is because it's the right thing to do. It's right because a lot of the things that kids do in high school will help set them up for life after high school. So as you're going through high school, when I kind of give this example sometimes, when I was in high school, and I'm a little bit older, a lot older, when I was in high school a long, long time ago, we just kind of took whatever they told us to do. I don't even really remember having a ton of choices. I think, they might have asked me whether I wanted to take art or, something. I don't know that, but we have so many more options today. And I want you to think of high school as the springboard for everything after high school. If they're going to go on to a college or a 1-year, a 2-year, a 4-year college, almost every job out there today takes some kind of college. Almost everything does. So think of high school as the foundation for everything to come. And everything that we can do to prep your kids for life after high school is free. It's free if they take those classes. If there's a class that they might need their freshman year and we offer it, take it with us, because if your child takes it here, you don't pay. If they go to college and take it, you have to pay for that. So there's a lot of things that we can do for you. So you really need to, you need to take it seriously, because your children can leave us and get a lot of credits done without paying for them now. Okay, so that's what the middle school counselors will do that. And their goal, they've got a lofty goal because they've got a lot of kids to get through by December 16th, because district-wide on December 16th is when, that's a Monday, right before winter break. On December 16th, your children will come home with their draft of their schedule. They'll come home with their draft. And when they bring that to you, you're going to sit down with them. And matter of fact, if you're a calendar person, you're going to write it on your calendar when you leave here today, and you're going to write December 16th, watch for that schedule to come home. When it comes home, you're going to sit down with them sometime on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, ask them some questions. Why did you choose this? What did your counselor say about this? Look at that schedule. And then we're asking you to give us feedback by December 20th. If it looks good to you and you say, I think that's really great, you're going to sign it and bless it, and you're going to send it back with your child by the 20th, and then we'll know that we have had your input. Does that make sense? If you have questions, you're going to call the school, and I'm going to give you all the phone numbers. You're going to call the school on Wednesday or Thursday, and you're going to say, I don't know, we've talked about it, and I'd really like him to try advanced math versus the regular strand of math. That's okay. That's that dialogue that we want to hear from you, but this is a really important date, December 20th. After winter break, when we come back on January 16th, that is the last day. We know not everybody gets this in by the 20th. We really want you to get it in by the 20th, but by January 16th, that's when we're going to spring into action. Remember when I said there's a whole bunch of things that we need to do on our end? We need to try to build the master schedule. How many kids want to take Algebra 1? How many kids want to take art? How many kids want to take math? They all have to take math. Band. As we look through that, when we determine that, that's how our principals, and we have 3 of them here right now, as they try to do that schedule, they need the information from what your students want to take in order to build that master schedule. How many sections of Algebra 1 do we need? And then we hire based on that. That's why we need this information from you. January 16th is the last day for all that question and all of that, those conversations to happen, because I believe that's a Thursday, and then we don't have school on Friday, I think, because it's the end of the quarter or the end of the semester, and then I don't think we have school on Monday because I think it's Martin Luther King Day, but on Tuesday when they come back, it's full steam ahead for us. All right? So that's kind of what that looks like. So, and again, I'll answer any questions that you might have about that as we go forward. And you do have a little postcard with that information on it. And it's the perfect size for what? What would you do with this? What do you think we want you to do with this? There you go, put it on your fridge. Okay, so let's look. One of the questions that we get asked quite often is, if you haven't had a ninth grader, what is their schedule going to look like? So I just want to show you that the classes that they take certainly won't be in this order, but this just kind of shows you what will be on their schedule. So think of the left-hand side as the fall semester, and the second side will be the spring semester, 2 semesters, and that's how we schedule. All year long, your students will have to take some English class. It's going to be required. So it will likely be either ninth grade English or advanced English, one or the other. They will take a year of math, and we do have some options of different math classes that they will take, and your counselors will have the conversation with not only your child and with you, but also with their math teachers. What do you recommend for this child? So we'll put some thought into that, so we're not just plunking everybody in the same class, we're individualizing that. They will have an entire year of science. You'll see it in the fall semester, you'll see it in the spring semester. Earth science or advanced earth science is most likely what they will take. They will have a year of US history. That's a required class. People take it in their freshman year, most likely. So because freshmen have so many required classes, they don't have as many choices. It's actually not as hard to create a freshman schedule as it is a senior schedule or a junior schedule, because by that time they've worked out a lot of their required classes and they have a lot more choices. They will have to take a semester of PE. There are some rules around that for some exemptions, but most students will be taking a semester of PE, and most students will be taking a semester of a class we call C3 Foundations. Little trivia for you, the C3 actually comes from our mission statement. There's 3 C's. We talk about college, career, and citizenship. That's where the C3 comes from, and it's just kind of a holistic class that talks about what would it take to, what do you need to do to get ready for college? What does it take to get ready for your career? They'll have all those conversations, and they'll talk about being a great citizen. So that's part of that, and that is also required. We did switch a few years ago, and we do offer that at our 8th grade level. So some of your children may have already taken that. It's a high school class for high school credit. If your kids did take it or are taking it, they will walk into high school with 1 credit already. If they didn't take it already, which most kids don't, they will take it next year and they'll get their credit at that time. Okay, there is a class called Seminar. I will give you some information on that. It is a chance for us to work with students who either need to be accelerated or maybe they need some extra help on something, or they need some time to get homework done. It's not a study hall because we kind of target the instruction during that, but kids will be signed up for seminar, and you can get some information to take home on that. Then we come to, they will have a couple of choices of electives. That's probably where you need to have the most dialogue with your kids. What do you want to take? You only have a couple slots open, so give that some serious thought about what you want your students to take. If they want to take band, they're going to put band in there, and that's going to be all year. If they're interested in doing something with business, they like the finance piece of it, they might take a freshman class called Intro to Business. That might be the class that they take. So that's the chance for you to have those conversations. Again, the good part is we're really hoping that the middle school counselors' conversations with your kids is helpful to you, because they will also ask your child. They know your child. They don't know them as well as you, but they know your child, and they'll have those conversations. What are you interested in doing after high school? Let's look at some classes, and they'll guide them and suggest to them and recommend some classes that would be right for them. So these classes will be filled in when they come to you, but you might have a better insight. You might have another conversation with your child about that. Okay, not too many choices their freshman year, but they do have choices. And the obvious statement, I'm just going to say it because I'm sure you know this, but not everybody's schedule is in this order, right? They may end up with English last, the 8th period of the day. So these are just the classes in a potential order. Okay, so let's go on. That third bullet, or the third objective of today, was to talk about all of the options that your kids have. You are blessed to have your children in a larger district where we have lots of options. Because we are a larger district, we can offer all kinds of things. The pictures on here just kind of show you some of the things. It's just intended to kind of spark your brain, your mind on what we offer. We have up here represented, we have arts, we have all kinds of music options for kids. If your students go to West High, they can join Air Force J or OTC. If they're at East High, they can join the Army J or OTC. If they're at Expo, they can also take those by going to one of those buildings for that portion of the day. We have esports, we have all kinds of sporting activities, we have student senate, we have all kinds of academic classes, so there are lots of options for your kids. The one thing I would tell you that is the most important, we hear this all the time when I ask 9th graders or 10th graders, what would you want us to tell 8th graders and their parents? And they say one thing, get involved. Because the more involved your kids get, there's all kinds of research. They are better time managers, they are more successful, they have a better social experience because they branch out and they get to meet new kids. It's just a much better way. They're more apt to graduate on time. There's all kinds of research that is linked behind getting involved. It's something we actually track. We actually, for every single child that goes into 6th grade or more, we actually know, we track how many activities they get into, and our goal is always to have every child in our whole entire system in at least one thing, because the research is so strong about kids who get involved have a better experience and are more successful. So we really hope that you will look at some of those options and have that conversation about what they might want to do when they get into high school, because high school is not the time to pull back and only do classes. High school is the time to go forward and do the classes, but also the extra things that are with that. I would point out just a couple things. This one I didn't mention, International Baccalaureate. We are one of, actually I believe at this point in time, we are the only district in the state of Iowa that offers IB. That's the acronym, IB. It is a world program. It is very premier in that it's tough. It's a very, very high level, advanced, rigorous program. Students who take those classes here in Waterloo, it would be the same as the classes that they're taking whether they're in Brazil or Switzerland or wherever. So International Baccalaureate means just that. It is a diploma that is an international program. We offer it. It's, I think Des Moines had it for a while, then because of some cost issues, they dropped it, I believe, and now they're trying to bring it back as well. So we just believe strongly that some kids need that extra push. Students who are in there, I was talking to one day and he said, you know, I've gone through high school and I've never been challenged until I got into IB. It's so, you know, I don't know who, you know, I don't know your students and you know them. Maybe that would be right. The reason I mentioned this option, it's a junior senior program. They take it both years, their junior senior year. The reason I mention it today is because as your kids get into, they can enroll in IB as a freshman, but there are classes that they can take as a freshman that would get them ready and prepare them to enter into IB as a junior. We call them pre-IB or pre-International Baccalaureate program. They're advanced level classes that they could take as early as a freshman. So I mentioned that today because that's the conversation you need to have with your kids. Are you interested in trying the IB program when you get to be a junior or senior? There are lots of benefits of doing the IB program. They get a lot of college credits racked up, and when they go into college, it really, sometimes, I mean, some kids who take it can get an entire semester done and sometimes more than a semester done when they go to their college. So, and they're very prepared for college. So if you know that your child is going to go to, you know, wherever they might go, if there's an Ivy League school, we have kids who have gone, we had a student who got a full ride, who went through the IB program, got a full ride to New York University. So, I mean, it is definitely, it prepares them for college. So that's why I mentioned it today. The other one I want to pause for a moment and focus on is the Waterloo Career Center. I want to lift that one out separately. So the Waterloo Career Center, remember when I said you're really lucky to be in Waterloo because we have lots of options? One of them is the Waterloo Career Center. A few years ago, we launched the first couple career pathways that your students could do as early as their sophomore year. We have just a couple freshmen, but primarily it is not freshmen. It's usually sophomores, juniors, and seniors. The Career Center is in the north end of Central Middle School. So it's Central Middle School is on one half, and then the Career Center is on the other half of the building. We have been launching additional career option or career pathways as we go. Right now, we have 14 up and running. We will be launching another 4 next fall. That brings our total to 18 different areas that kids could study. So let me just I'm just going to whiz through them. You actually do have this in writing. If you want to look in the middle of the brochure, do you see the little blue box? That is the same thing basically that I have on the screen here. So let me just whiz through what your children can take. We have nursing, health careers. Students can go there and study that. They get high school credit, they get college credit, and any career exams that kids have to take to go into that, any exams that they have to take, they can do those exams with us. And again, who pays for that? We do. So in nursing, when you want to go into the nursing program, they have to take the CNA exam, the Certified Nurse Assistant exam. Kids can take the classes and sit for that exam with us. We have digital graphics pathway for any kids who are interested in taking artwork and turning it into digitizing it, putting it into a digital graphic, and then producing that. We have a screen printing program. We have our screen printer, like t-shirts. We have that system, so kids can learn how to actually produce a product based on the artwork. We have advanced manufacturing. A lot of the students in there, I think almost, kids go on to college, whether it's 1 year or 2 years or 4 years. A lot of the kids in here, I was talking to a couple kids, they're heading on to Iowa State for the engineering program, but not everybody. Some are going to Hawkeye for CNC. It just gives them a chance to jumpstart. Early childhood. Information technology, there are 2 programs. One focuses on networking and one focuses on the applications, web and mobile apps, and designing them. Kids want to be gamers, that's a great way to dipstick and give it a try. Plumbing. We have marketing, sustainable construction, culinary, hospitality, electrical, finance, and then we have something called digital interactive media, which is really audio production and video production. So if students were interested in any of that, they really ought to go out to the Career Center at some point during their sophomore or their junior or their senior year, or all 3. And the sooner they start into the Career Center, if they start as a sophomore or a junior, there's a lot of classes they can just get farther in their program. We actually, for the nursing program, we're actually bringing enough classes that in a very short amount of time, I don't know when we'll be able to launch this, but they will actually be able to sit for their LPN exam. So they can get a long ways, but I will tell you, they need to choose wisely early on, because if they don't decide to go out there until let's say their senior year, their spring semester, or even their fall semester, they can only take 2 levels, right? Because they'll be there in the fall and they'll be there in the spring, but they can't take the whole battery of classes that are offered. They just can't get quite as deep. We have kids, it's non-binding in that if a student started into the marketing program and they decided it wasn't for them, no harm, no foul. The next semester they could try a different pathway. We like them to stick and stay in a program because they can get so much farther along, but there's no harm in backing out, and sometimes it's just as important to weed out a few things that you don't want to do. And they can do it right now in a low stakes environment of high school instead of going to college and trying, have you ever heard kids, they switch their major 3-4 times when they go to college. So we like them to try that here. I do have a real short video that I want to show you. It just kind of gives you a visual before you leave us today. Let me back out of this a minute and let me show you what that looks like.
We have heard several times from multiple businesses across not only the Cedar Valley but across the state about the lack of skilled workers, and one of the big things about this initiative is the ability to get students connected to a career field.
I think it's the most wonderful opportunity, and that we have the opportunity to be a role model for communities all around the country, that we are able to bring this into the school setting. So during the course of their day, students get to master these skills, and then they get to take this and take it with them wherever they go, to use it to whatever the next step in their career is.
We run the kids through a program here that is similar to what in the real world we would do in art departments or design firms across the country. They learn some basic, simple skills that from there they can then use the software better. It's on-the-job training here at school.
Taking this class gave me a giant opportunity to realize it's more than just drawing and painting and just making giant canvases. You actually have actual careers out there, and this is helping me figure out what I want to do.
To be honest, it actually helped me with choosing what I really wanted to be. Freshman year, I found out I was really good with computers and machining and 3D printing. So I just thought if I were to work on the CNC machine, I feel like I could actually make a career out of that.
This is a good way of what path do you really want to do? You want to do this type of work, or go into the part of the engineering part of it, or the design? They'll have a really good idea of what pathway they want to go.
1, 2, 3.
It opens me up to a lot of different things, gets me very comfortable with working with residents and patients and just having the communication skills and openness that I would need to work in a hospital. Because of a class like this, I know one of my mom's friends actually got her CNA and she has her RN and her BS, and she doesn't actually work as a nurse. She's actually a social worker on the floor, so she's still involved with the patients, but she's not actually a nurse.
They'll learn about various healthcare careers so that maybe you don't want to be a nurse, maybe you don't want to be a doctor, but maybe you want to be a radiology technician or you want to be a physical therapist. You can learn about those careers and find a niche that fits you.
My name's Logan, and I want to be a CNC machine operator, and thanks to Waterloo Career Center, I could actually have a chance to have that.
My name is Kira, and I'm going to be a doctor thanks to the Waterloo Career Center.
I'm Alex, and I'm going to be an art teacher thanks to the Waterloo Career Center.
My name is Caleb, and I'm going to be a mechanical engineer thanks to the Waterloo Career Center.
My name is AJ, and the Waterloo Career Center has opened my eyes to many different careers in art and design.
My name is Akwani, and I'm going to be a pediatric oncologist thanks to the Waterloo Career Center.
Okay. And that video was produced a little bit before we launched some of our newer programs like the electrical and the plumbing. So we will be reproducing this video to show you more pictures, because right now we really focused on some of them that we had launched earlier on. So that's exciting. I did mention that we have 4 new pathways coming. Let me just tell you briefly what they are. We will be bringing a teacher prep program for students who, we have the early childhood for somebody who's interested in teaching our little learners, but if somebody was interested in being a middle school teacher or a math teacher at high school, that would be the teacher prep program would be for them. And then the other 3 programs that we're bringing next fall are all medical based. We are bringing a lab technology program for somebody who was interested in maybe research or blood work or anything that, you know, microscope, the lab setting piece of the lab piece of medicine. We are also bringing physical therapy, and then we're also bringing emergency management or emergency services. So that would be primarily for anybody who was interested in pursuing or at least trying out being a paramedic or an EMT. It might also be, it's a great start. There are a couple classes in there that are also required for anybody who's going into police or fire science, a fireman or a policeman. So if somebody was interested in that, they can't do the whole program, but they can certainly get started in that by taking a couple of the classes. So there's lots of options, okay? And I can answer anything with that later. So let's go back into let's bring this home. We're just a couple minutes from done. So one of the last documents I have for you is just a little reference guide for you, a full sheet of paper. If you want to pull that out a minute. I want to just draw your attention, the side that says tips for families with the 4 squares on there. Up in the upper left-hand corner, it says that's the phone numbers for who you might call when you have a question. So it has all of the middle school counselors and their phone numbers for the school. And then after the end of the school year, any questions that you might have should then at that point in time be directed to the high schools. For right now, the middle school counselors are your connect because your kids are still in middle school. Go over to the upper right-hand corner, talk with your child. There's a list of questions that you might want to consider. For many of you, this list doesn't matter because you know exactly what you would ask your children. You can have a natural conversation with them. But for some people, this list is helpful in knowing what to talk with your child about. The lower left-hand corner, there's information about getting registered on Infinite Campus. That used to be a bigger issue for us than it is now because most of you had to get registered as the district went to online registration. So while I used to have you raise your hand how many people have an Infinite Campus portal account, it used to be about 40 to 50%. Now it's about 100%. So you have that information. On the other side, on the lower right-hand corner, the most important piece, in my opinion, on this entire document is that information about how to keep track of your credits. The magic number that you want to leave here today with is the magic number of 11. To graduate in Waterloo schools, you need 44 credits. That means that each year your children need to get 11 credits in order to be at that 44 by the time they graduate. 11, 11, 11. So you can find out at any point in time how many credits they have. So each semester as they finish classes and pass them, they will get credits. And this tells you how to find that information. If your children have taken a high school class while they're in 8th grade, like C3 Foundations that I mentioned, or maybe they've taken advanced English, or they've taken algebra as an 8th grader. Not that many do it, but some do. Those are high school classes. They would already be given high school credit for them while they're sitting in a middle school right now. So some of our kids walk into high school and they've already got 2 credits done, or 3 credits. Some have even more than that. So they might walk in. If they walk in with 4 credits, then obviously they only need to get at least 7 more their freshman year to be on track. The reason that's really important, moms and dads, is because there is so much research behind. The minute the kids get behind their cohort, their peers, their chances of graduating, doesn't mean they won't graduate, but their chances start dwindling. If they get 1 credit behind, not a huge deal, we'll help them catch up. When they get 2 and 3 credits, we start to sweat a little bit. When they get 5 credits behind, it's a big deal. 11 credits is really important, so track, stay with us, work with us, make sure that they are on track. If you find that they finish their freshman year and they only have 10, you better be on that phone calling the counselor saying, let's have a meeting. Let's sit down, let's talk out. We have ways that we can get them caught up. We have lots of ways. Matter of fact, I'm super proud of all the ways that we have in this district to help kids get caught up, but we need to work with you because that 11 is critical. Have I convinced you successfully that is really important? Okay, turn it over. The frequently asked questions, these were carefully chosen by talking with parents, students, and staff about the questions that they get asked a lot. I would probably tell you to make sure that you check out number 5 on foreign language, because that's a question we get. Is foreign language required? It's not, unless they're going to go to a particular school, then it is, a particular college. I mentioned question 10, what is seminar? You can see the answer there. Number 7, driver's ed. I would recommend you read that question. That answer, and then I would just pause just a second on number 3 on the honors diploma one. Back to this guide. Remember I said this is a really great document. On the inside cover of the trifold brochure, there is something that details the honors diploma. Some of our students will want to go for that higher level diploma called an honors diploma. They will be recognized at their high school graduation for achieving an honors diploma. To get that and be eligible for that, they need to do exactly what it says. They need to have 53 credits minimum. Remember I said they have to have 44, but we have students who are really, they're go-getters and they have a lot of initiative and they want to go after those extra credits, and so they get 53 credits, of which 5 have to be advanced level courses. So if they take that, they can get an honors diploma. The vast majority of our students will get what we call a standard or a traditional diploma. That's really the path for most everybody, but some kids want this, and so we do offer it so they can get that recognition on their transcripts and on at their graduation, okay? And again, there's more information about that in your frequently asked questions. Okay, so last couple slides. You are going to contact your middle school principals with any questions. If you look quickly at this little card right here, you can see I told you we're going to have the middle school counselors meet with them, the high school counselors. They're going to draft those plans here all the way right now before we even get to winter break. Will you look at number 5? Do you notice it's in a different font and a different color? Last official day for parents and students to request changes for the 2021 school year. That is new. We have never done that before, and I want to tell you why. January 16th is going to be kind of a deadline that we're going to call it a line in the sand. Every year for the past years we've struggled because we send home the 4-year plans, we ask parents to sign them, many do. They turn them back in, we get that information back, and we're ready to go. But many don't. And so what has happened over time is we try really hard we keep calling and we send extra copies home and we try to get that information back, and inevitably somebody will call us in February, March, maybe even April, and say, oh, I wanted to make sure we're drawing the line in the sand this year because we really do. We have hiring to do. We have schedules to build. We have staff to align, staff to assign. So January 16th, that's new this year. So I've asked every group, does that seem reasonable or does that seem unfair to kind of set that line? Do you understand why we're doing that? Yeah, does it seem fair? Okay, I just asked because that was something we really debated, because we really do want to be an accommodating district. We absolutely do. We want to work with you. If you call us on January 17th on that Friday and say, you know, of course we're going to listen to you and we're going to work with you in any way, but at some point in time we have to signal that we have business that we need to do and we have hiring that we need to do. And so that all starts right after that January 16th deadline. Okay, so with that, you do have a little, we have pens on the table, or there's a couple I can get to you too. There's a little exit ticket. Give us some feedback if this was helpful to you. You know, what did you learn that was new? This is the 3rd meeting out of 6, so we're really hoping that people will come to the rest of them. We want to have 100% attendance. We know we won't get 100% attendance, but it's really important that kids come, staff come, or I'm sorry, parents come to that. So let us know about that and take that little card home, hang it on your fridge. Let us know if you have any questions. I thank you greatly for coming, and we have all kinds of staff that are here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.